Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Shadow from SG TCG, bringing you guys some locals from last week's league. This time I decided to play Dofi before the starter decks come out, so it's just an OP8 Dofi. I end up opening up with a Perona and looking at my top stack, which really isn't that great. Only a law target for my leader ability. So I was actually contemplating on whether to bottom deck it or not, but since there was a Gravity Blade there, I figured I'd hold on to it just because, you know, starter deck Luffy's could potentially, put down the Kuzans and the Rebeccas, so best to hold on to it just to get rid of that stuff early on. Because even with leader buff, it wouldn't get it could still be bottom deck. So he opens up with the event to draw one, give something +3, and then plays stage. He drew from the event card, but he did not draw from stage, so he should really be +1 in hand or replacing the stage. So he didn't draw. He missed the trigger for that. I didn't notice until right now I was editing. But I swing 7, do ability. He takes a life, and I ask him how many cards he's got in hand, which he has enough for Law's ability. So I choose to return it to hand, so he bottom decks something from hand. So at least taking a card away, and he took a life, so it was a win in that scenario for me. I'm gonna pass the turn over to him. Barely have forward on. I believe he's gonna play out a 4-cost Dressrosa Law. Forget what its ability is. And he also put his life in a pretty interesting way. Didn't mind, I didn't care, but locals. But yeah, so here the law comes out. It's one of the promo laws. I forget what it does. He swings 5 at life. I decided to take it just because it wasn't gonna do much more damage to me, and I could get better card draw. So I start off swinging 5 to life, and I'm only doing this just because I'm just trying to put a little pressure. I'm going to do Perona, and I'm doing the Perona first to look at the stack because I plan on doing the Jinbei to Weevil so that I can draw a card. And here, I believe I'm going to leave the pudding on top. And I'm thinking about what I want to do here just because I also can set up my next swing. So when I do the Jinbei to the Weevil's gonna draw me a card, and I'm gonna also draw again the next turn because I'm not swinging with leader ability. So I have to anticipate what I'm gonna play off leader ability right here after I draw 2 cards. So I'm gonna leave the 4-cost Gecko that grabs from trash where it's at, just because now I can counter this turn and be able to grab that Law 2K from the trash off my leader ability this next turn. So I flood the board with the Jinbei to the Weevil. Now I can put way more pressure on my opponent. But he ends up tapping 5 and plays out the Sanji, and he chooses to KO the Weevil. Here you're going to see me remind him, but I do forget that he has the stage on the field, and the stage gives all Straw Hat type characters +1. So it makes the Sanji a 6-cost, and now he attaches the Don to the leader. So if you would have attached the Don to leader, it would have been, it would have been fine. But with that stage, works out either way. So KO's the Weevil. Right here, I'm going to counter out. I'm going to give him the pudding just because he really doesn't have that much in hand. He's been, kind of getting rid of it. And he swings 6 at life. I'm going to counter out with a 2K. Again, I plan on swinging, doing leader ability, and returning the 2K back to hand. So not too worried. Passes it over to me. I am at 7 Don. I do have the Gravity Blade in hand, and I actually am considering on doing Gravity Blade and swinging, or no, bottom decking both of these cards. But instead, I'm going to opt to just do leader ability how I had planned from the start. So I'm going to swing 7 at the Law, play out the Gecko. Gecko grabs out my Law from the trash. And I was able to clear the board. I'm going to just attach 3 to Perona, swing 5, putting pressure on my opponent. And then I think he takes this one. He doesn't counter out, which could show me that he's got a lot of bricks in hand. So that Law's ability, it's you may arrest 1 leader, kill up to one of your opponent's characters at the cost of 1 or less, which not the greatest, especially with Luffy, because you wanna swing with him. So this is really a better card for Rebecca, which you probably won't even really run it in that deck either. So after the fact, I do swing 6 with the Jinbei at life. He takes that one as well. Now he's down to 2 life. Taking all these baby swings shows me he really has no counter in hand, which is perfect for me. I continue to just apply pressure, swinging little bitty swings, just connecting. So he is at 8 Dawn currently. He's in Gecko range. He does tap 4 Dawn, and he's gonna play out a Shirahoshi right here, and it's the blocker Shirahoshi that on play gives something -4. Really interesting card. He still hasn't played out. There it goes. Yeah, there's the Shirahoshi. Interesting card. I haven't seen it played in actually any black decks, but I have seen some decks starting to utilize it and kind of test with it. So it's an interesting card. Might test it out in some of my decks. Not sure exactly which one, but it is something that's cool in Black Luffy. If you have Jack established, play this out, give something -4, potentially get it in range for Jack, and then use Jack's ability. So after that, he attaches a Don to Sanji. I think he's only swinging for 7, and he swings 7 at life. I'm gonna take it. I was hoping to get like a trigger out of life, the bottom deck, the Shirahoshi, just to get rid of it. And then he attaches the rest of the Dons onto his leader. And then I counter out of it for 3. I think he just attached 2. So potentially has 1 left. I don't know why. Yeah. I was going to say, I don't know why that 1 Don is tapped. So yeah, he only had 2 Don attached, swinging for 7. I counter out of that just so I could not take more life than I need to. So 9 Don. I'm going to Gravity Blade both the Shirahoshi and the Sanji, which I don't think are bad targets because the Shirahoshi, if he does play Gecko Moria, could be recycled off the Moria and just, cycle out the blocker like you would Rebecca. So I opt to do it this way, clear the board, so now I don't have to worry about him swinging at me. There's no rush in the deck unless you're playing a CP0 or CP9 Lucci. So I'm going to swing 5 with the Gecko. I believe he's going to counter out with a 2K. Oh, no, he takes this one. And I'm going to swing 5 with the Jinbei. This one, I believe he counters out of it. And my opponent's thinking. Yep, so he does counter out. He gives me a 1K, which is the Nightmare Luffy. I'm going to swing 6, and I swing 6 instead of 7 just because I plan on playing the Perona, just because I want to see what's in the stack. I could have swung 7 and potentially got him to no life this turn, but I wanted to see what was in the stack because I even considered on playing the Kaido just to draw 4. I wanted to see what was there, but also no point in playing the Kaido just because I do have pretty much the board established. He's got nothing on the field and 1 life left. I could potentially just swing out. I think he's only got 4 cards in hand too, so no point in wasting a whole turn playing out a big body just when I could go for game and I could go wide enough. So here I'm not sure what he was trying to do. He was messing around with the Don so much, but I figured he was trying to play out a Gecko, separates the 2 Don, and it's exactly what he's gonna do. So he's gonna play out the Gecko Moria, and unfortunately for him, he does not have many targets in his trash, especially since I Gravity Bladed the Shirahoshi that he planned on recycling. So it worked out in my favor. So plays out the Gecko. His only targets are that 2-cost Beetle guy that trained Usopp during the arc and the Dressrosa Luffy. So he plays out that one rested, and here you're gonna see him grab the Nightmare Luffy and play it in an active. And I'm gonna let him know. I'm gonna call it out basically to inform him like that card is not a valid target, so he's gonna have to swap it out because Gecko could only grab a 4-cost and under and a 2-cost and under. So Dressrosa Law was the only card he was able to grab. I let him know. He swapped it out. I didn't mind. Of course, locals are a place to learn. So he was asking me if he was also able to use that card's ability, which is an activate main rest this character to give something minus cost, but unfortunately, since it came in rested, you are not able to do the ability. So I just let him know about it. And here he's just gonna swing for 7 since his leader does get the 1k buff since Gecko Moria is on the field. So he opts to swing 7 at the Jinbei. And I'm gonna just counter out with the 0 cost event. I could have gave him the 0 cost with the Red Rock just in case, but I knew he wasn't gonna attack with anything else. And I held on to the Red Rock just in case he countered out enough. In these next couple swings, I could have just got rid of the Gecko Moria. So he does have the 1k buff. He's got 4 cards in hand. I'm going to ask him at the start of the turn how many cards he's got in hand. I do forget that he's got a 1k buff. So you're going to see me swing like 7 when typically at this moment I should have swung for 8, because the best thing to do is when you're going for games to swing 2k over just to force out 2 cards out of hand, not just a regular 2k. But I'm going to swing 7 with the Gecko. I believe he counters out of this. No, he takes it. And once he takes that, I'm just going to slap it all onto the leader. Or swing 9 with the Jinbei and see that if it connects. And if it counters out a lot, then I can always swing out with the Dofi leader. He's going to play an event card, though, that if he looks at the top card of his deck, if it's a 6 cost or more, he does get a 5k buff. So he takes a gamble. And you're going to see that he misses. And I end up winning the game. If you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment down below what you guys want to see, and then I'll catch you guys in the next one.